Wow, welcome to Playback. My name is Nate.
My name is Brandon.
This is the show where me and Brandon, two music producers, take turns picking albums to listen to and discuss each week on the show. This week, Brandon chose the album Black Moses by Isaac Hayes.
Yes.
Brandon, why did you pick Black Moses by Isaac Hayes? And what is this album for those who are unfamiliar with?
Yeah. Well, Isaac Hayes is an interesting one because I think everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
But if you were like me up until a certain point in, I don't know, my 20s or something, I hadn't really like listened to any of his music, even though he's like super, super famous. You know, he's chef on South Park.
I was gonna say. Let's get that out of the way off the top.
Yeah.
He's chef from South Park.
Yeah, this is the album Black Moses by Chef.
Yeah.
No, but
I'm glad we got that out of the way because I kind of feel like we should do our best to not talk about South Park and Chef. Like this is his prior life. This has nothing to do with South Park or Chef. Like,
right. No, it really doesn't because there's so much interestingness and amazingness and just like mastery and incredible musical history and lessons to be learned to talk about from here on out. Like the fact that he was Chef later, way later in life has no, it's not even that interesting when you really get interested in Black Moses and this whole period of his career.
Him being Chef has everything to do with this. Chef has not the other way around.
Yeah, right. They wanted him to be Chef because of how massive his legacy was and how his influence and how, grand of a musical figure he had been for so long. But yeah, Black Moses is Isaac Hayes' record that he released in 1971. One of the records that he released in 1971.
Was it really 71?
71.
Oh my God.
So we'll get onto it and get more into this little detail, which is that this record came out the same year that Shaft came out.
That's crazy to me, actually.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So this is a record that is completely overshadowed by the record Shaft and for the music. What do you call that? The soundtrack.
Yeah,
that's the word.
It's really the score. It's like
it's a score and soundtrack.
Yeah.
He did like 3 songs and all the score of the entire movie of Shaft. Mm-hmm. And that was like by far the most prominent, the most successful, the most popular thing that he made. And this album came out in the same year, and it's a double album. And in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion too, I know I'm not alone, people really consider this to be like his greatest work, his best album that he ever made. It is like the pinnacle of his achievement, of his musical skills and abilities and accomplishments. Like, holy crap. This is like because Isaac Hayes is such a deeply skilled individual when it comes to music. Okay, so his background musically had been in being a session musician and also as a songwriter, as part of like a songwriting stable at a record label for a long time and all that stuff. And then later on after that sort of dipped his toe into being a artist, on the cover of the record and being the front man of the band and the singer of the band and all that stuff. So but he can basically do all of it, like all the skills that go into the making of a piece of music, maybe outside of the actual technical engineering of it. Mm-hmm. But there's so many other things.
Wouldn't surprise me at all
if
he knew his way around a console or something.
Yeah. But there are many roles to be played and many, like specialties involved in bringing a piece of music to be ready to be recorded. And Isaac Hayes was like a freaking master of all of that. And I think like this album is sort of like the peak of the mountain of what he was able to achieve by putting all of his skills together, I think.
Yeah. I will say, so I'd never heard this before this week when you picked it. And I was so nervous at the runtime. It's 93 minutes. It's really long
album. Yes.
Really, really long. And I was really nervous about that. And I was thinking like, there's no way I'll listen to it more than twice because it's too long.
So long.
It's so long and I won't have enough time in the week to even do it.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it like 6 times.
I mean,
I literally
think about
listened to it so many times.
That's amazing.
I couldn't stop listening to it.
That's like in 1 week, watching the same movie 6 times.
6 times, yeah.
This album is as long as a movie.
Yes. And I think we'll get into that later when we talk about it. But I mean, this is his. It's just like what you said. I totally agree with you. This is post Shaft. Him kind of proving to any remaining naysayers who said, oh, your music is too this, it's too long, it's too cinematic, you can't have all the orchestration, people aren't going to like it, this and that. This is him being like, oh yeah, look at Shaft. Oh yeah, look at Hot Buttered Soul. Oh yeah, and now watch this. And it's like, dude, he lays it down, man. Like, it's crazy.
That's a really good point that you make. So some context for that is, so Isaac Hayes is a soul musician, but once you listen to this album, by the way, this is one in this episode you should like pause this and go listen to it. You should listen to the album before you listen to us talk to it. Talk about it. I
hope that's what you do.
I hope so, but this one in particular. So the soul music that Isaac Hayes makes is very unique because it's what Wikipedia calls progressive soul.
That's so good. So good.
It's a good term. I'd never heard it before I saw it on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So, in the sense of progressive rock is like basically super like complicated and advanced and like very complex rock and roll and progressive this, progressive that. This is progressive soul. I always think of it as being like orchestral soul. This is like classical music, like within the boundaries of soul music.
That's a great way to put it. I was trying to wrap my mind around how to describe that. That it feels like a movie score and a song, like kind of at the same time.
At the same time.
But it's like, that's literally what he does. Those are the two things he does. Yes. He was like a staff songwriter for all kinds of people. And then also his own, and then he scored movies. He scored Shaft, right. and Shaft is like a score with a band, but it is a score. It is not, they are not all like songs, it is a proper score. And this is like him doing all of it. Like all of it coming together is as one big thing.
Isaac Hayes is like a composer and conductor of a soul orchestra. Okay, so his songs are way longer. He repeats sections way more times than other people do. Because you're comparing this with,
or he'll give like big preambles. A lot of it, like all the Ike's raps or whatever. All those, and those are going back. There's other albums before this one where there's like Ike's Rap 1, and I think this has Ike's Rap 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. Okay, we're gonna get into those. The raps. But it's like him basically doing, and he even did stuff like this on some of his earlier, like Hot Buttered Soul. He did stuff like this too, where it's like it's a 10-minute song, but the first like 3-4 minutes is him almost like outlining what the song is about to be about. Right. It's like he's giving you like this big preamble. And it's just fun. Yeah. It's sick. Yeah. You're right in pointing out how unique he really is, because he's very unique. Okay. Because he's working within a music industry and a corner of the music industry that is pumping out pop songs, essentially, that is making a bunch of 2, 3, rarely bordering on 4-minute songs that are, love songs, ooh baby songs, and stuff like that, right? Come in, short intro, this is in the 60s and then into the early 70s. It's like the music from this time period is like such there were so many people that were they had really mastered the art of like brevity in song arrangement, of accomplishing so many different like musical moments and locations in such a short amount of time, that if you really look at pop music from that era, it's amazing how many musical thoughts they get within 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's very challenging, but they mastered it.
Equally challenging, if you think about it, is now do that, but hold someone's attention for 10 minutes and like be good for 10 minutes. Like, it's one thing to get in and out. That's a whole mastery, requires a whole set of skills in itself, right? He could do that. He did that for other people, right? That's what he did. He was a songwriter for Sam and Dave, Otis Redding, all that shit from those guys on Stax. There's literally Isaac Hayes writing that stuff with them, I would think. But at least with Otis, I would think. I actually don't know for sure. But
my understanding is him and his writing partner, Dave Porter, they wrote the song.
No, I think you're right.
And then somebody else made the decision of which artist is going to sing this.
Right. So that takes one set of skills, which he was a master at, right?
Yes.
And then on top of that, he goes, yeah, I'll make my own music, but guess what? It's like completely flipping that on its head, and it's doing this whole other thing that takes fucking 10 times as long per song. Like,
exactly. It's the other side of that spectrum, which is also, like you say, which is also extremely hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Which is right, because you could say, oh, so it's really tough to make a song super concise and really short. Okay, I see. So then it must be easier to make them very long.
No.
Well, no, not really. That's also hard.
It's also really hard.
In a different way, because it's challenging to keep it relevant and to keep the interest of the listener. So that's what he did. That's what this album is, just chock full of song after song after song that are in that vein.
Right.
But you said something really interesting that I hadn't thought about, which is that Black Moses, this is not him presenting that style now. No, he had already earlier presented it with Hot Buttered Soul, a different record, and Shaft. So now that that's already established that, okay, this is my style, this is what I do. Now it's like, okay, watch this.
This is him like perfecting his style that he invented.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty nuts.
This album is a great excuse to dive into one of my favorite record labels of all time, which is Stax Records. Okay. So to talk about Isaac Hayes, to talk about even this album, Black Moses, is like to really understand the context of it. Like it doesn't exist without Stax Records.
Right.
Okay. So I know you're super familiar with it. You you used to live in Tennessee.
I did. I actually had the good fortune of I got to do the very touristy music nerd thing of I got to go tour Stax Records. It's now a museum. It's pretty amazing though, and it's really close to Sun, so you can like bang those two out, and they're right down the street from each other.
Sun Records, another big.
Sun Records is like Elvis and Carl Perkins and all that stuff. Stax was Isaac Hayes and Sam and Dave and Otis Redding and like Rufus Thomas and Carla Thomas, like all just personally
Booker T and the MGs.
Booker T and the MGs, yeah. So personally, those two labels, it was kind of like the hub of like white music in the 50s and 60s and the hub of like black music in the 50s and 60s, or I guess Stax is kind of more
Stax.
Yeah, Sun and Stax. But I don't really compare those two studios or labels all that often. It's really Stax versus Motown is kind of the thing you have to think about.
You know, for those of you like, okay, what is Stax? Or I've heard of Stax, but what is it? Okay, so everybody knows Motown Records. Okay, that's possibly the most important, or like
Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5, right? Who else? Off the top of my head, Temptations, I think.
It's probably the record label that has the most name recognition in American music history, is Motown Records.
You're probably spot on about that.
Thank you. So Motown is the biggest, one of the most famous, if not the most famous record labels in the history of American music. Like at the time, they were bigger than Stax. They were bigger than a lot of other labels. Motown, so like in the 60s, Motown is one of the biggest forces known for like integrating the popularity of black music, right? Meaning integrating the audience for black music, so that, you know, it was made for black audiences, and it became very, very popular among white audiences in America, which before that time had really had separate music industries that they listened to. So the fact that those audiences and consumers of music became integrated, that like had a huge effect in changing America forever.
Right.
That after that point, white and black people both enjoyed the same music.
You can't unring that bell too. Like it's like,
and for all the decades and all the generations after that, the fact that black and white people enjoy and listen to and consume the same music is like a really fundamental part of all those generations and of all those times in American history after that, you know?
And in something like a label like Stax, it's like literal integration where you start seeing bands in the South, which in the South, it would have been pretty controversial at the time, I would have to think, but because there literally was like, you know, if you're traveling in a band and you have like a black person in your band, it's like they'd have to stay at like a separate hotel and shit like that. Like you couldn't even eat lunch at the same place as your bandmate if you had a black bandmate. But like the Bar Case, they had black and white band members. Booker T and the MGs, I believe, had black and white band members.
Booker T and the MGs was 4 guys. 2 of them are black, 2 of them are white.
And then they also did the Blues Brothers too, which is I love. That's basically all Stax guys is the Blues Brothers band. It's like everybody that played on this record and like Booker T and like all those guys, they're all the Blues Brothers. Which again is another that is just like a victory lap for like black and white integrated music. It's just like now we're laughing at there. It's a movie literally about an integrated band just clowning on Nazis. Like it's fucking awesome.
Right.
Like, it's great.
Yes.
And it's all these guys.
Yeah. So Motown is the big one, making pop music made by and for and from the tradition of black music and black musicians during the 60s, and then mainly like the heyday was the 60s and then into the 70s. And so Stax is kind of like the little cousin of Motown, okay? Not quite as legendary, not quite as far-reaching, not quite as influential, but in my opinion, I like Stax Records better than Motown.
Me too.
Yes. Those who know, okay?
And we sort of touched this on the last bonus episode when we announced that we were doing this record, which is like the reason, my personal reasoning for that is like, and I mean this with love, right? It's all love, but Motown, it's kind of pop music, bubblegum, almost boy band music of its day, right? It's fucking awesome.
Yes.
You know, but it's very bubblegum, you know?
Exactly.
Bubblegum is bubblegum, even if it's 60 years old.
Exactly.
And Stax, it was much more rooted in like a more like American like kind of folk tradition of like blues and jazz and soul and R&B and just like and rock. Like it just had more it just was like more serious music in my opinion. Like it's not necessarily better, like, but like it just was music more aimed at like maybe an adult palate, you know, like so
more mature for sure. Yeah. So one of the big things to understand about the difference between the two. So Motown, obviously. Well, I don't know. Obviously, if you don't know, so Motown is from Detroit, which is up north in the Midwest. Okay. Motortown, because that's where they made all the cars and shit, right? And so that was happening there. Stax is from Memphis in Tennessee. So Stax is like the Motown, like their whole business model, very similar. Okay. You got a stable of songwriters who are pumping out a bunch of great pop songs that all the people will enjoy, easy to listen to, easy to consume.
Oftentimes there's house bands, like Stax had a house band and Motown had, or just like a stable of players, musicians, in the same way they had a stable of songwriters.
Exactly. So they had a stable of three things: a stable of songwriters, a stable of artists, right? The singers, the celebrities, the stars who to sing those songs that those songwriters write, and a stable of session players. Okay, so Motown had what was called the Funk Brothers, like most famous one, James Jamerson, the bass player, like probably the most influential bass player ever. And Stax Records had Booker T and the MGs,
the Bar Ks. Yeah.
Okay. So Stax was basically set up and operating just like Motown was, but they were in the South. Okay, so that's.
Shit's different.
Just right there. Shit is different in the South. If you've ever been to the Midwest,
trust me, shit is different.
And then you go to the South, it is different. Like I honestly, I'm from the West Coast, and when I've been to the South, I've been to other countries that feel less like another country than the South does.
Agree.
The South feels like this is not even the same country that I am from.
Yeah, this and like you California boy, you do not belong. You don't belong there. I went for 5 years. I did not. I knew it too. Right. They were right. I did not belong there. I was like, I gotta go. It was not a good fit.
You're
like,
right. So I feel like the fact that it is in the South and the people involved, the people singing, the people playing, the people writing are from the South is inextricable from the Stax sound. Because in comparison to Motown, it's more rootsy.
The stable of artists on Motown, it's all like cute stars and like gorgeous people, right? Who front their records, right? Who are all their record players. If you look at like the artists on Stax, it's like old men. Like it's like Albert King and like, have you ever seen a picture of Rufus Thomas? He was full on bald. He was probably in his 50s. And he's just like fronting bands for Stax on tour. And like he's just like an old guy, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of made me think, it's just like, man, think of all the cool music we're missing out on just based on like superficial shit like that. Like there's probably a fucking old guy down the street from my house who probably could throw the fuck down, but we will never give him a shot in this day and age because you know, he's not a hot person.
And even the female singers on Stax Records, a lot of times like their hairstyles and the way that they would dress were like sort of conservative and kind of like, you know, just kind of old fashioned in comparison to the artists they're on Motown. You know, because Motown had the Jackson 5, man.
Yeah.
You know, you got children spinning around and doing with sequins on their like bell bottoms and shit.
Stax just felt so much more like homegrown. Like Motown, it's like they put out a product, right? And Stax put out a product too, but it was like a product of like, oh no, I know fucking Rufus down the street. Yeah, he hangs around at the bar at the juke joint, and like, yeah, he can fucking wail, dude. Like, let's bring him in.
There's a couple key differences I want to point out between Motown and Stax. So one is I was listening to some examples and just sort of kind of ruminating on this. The way that the songs were recorded and then mixed and then mastered and released from Motown stuff, there's a lot of like reverb, and
production,
and the levels are like really pushed, like the vocals on a lot of Motown records are made to sound like really big and distorted and have reverb on them so that it sort of achieves the effect of, it sounds like what you're hearing from your record player is like someone performing at a live show in a concert hall, or someone performing like in a high school auditorium, you know, just like that sound of someone yelling and singing through a PA in a gymnasium or something, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas Stax Records productions are, a lot of times the vocals are like completely bone dry, or very direct, and
but the whole band is.
The sound, the whole band is just very close, and the vocals are like close to the microphone, you know?
Yeah.
And that has, there's more low frequencies in the voices, and that has like a psychoacoustic effect, okay? Psychoacoustics, by the way, you Google this if you don't know about this. It's one of my favorite freaking topics. Like the way in which sound affects us, like psychologically, okay, humans. And when there's more low frequency and less reverb in the voice like this, I mean, even think about this. You're listening to this podcast, my voice right now, just me doing that. It has the psychoacoustic effect of that I'm closer to you.
Versus, or you could be like this, and I'm Motown. Look at me, I am Motown man. Versus the Stax man.
So Motown is like raucous and just cutting loose and like high school prom times, and Stax is like intimate and close to you and just like
Stax is church music, man. It's gospel shit. It's church. It's these people.
It's pop music with the gospel brought in. Right?
Yes.
Because gospel music is gospel music, but this is absolutely gospel music brought into.
This is people.
Pop.
Is people like Southern Baptists who walked straight from church, bringing with them all their chops and all the fucking amazing shit they learned as players and musicians and singers and you know, arrangers and all that, walking straight from church into a pop music environment and throwing the fuck down. Like,
also, so my last point on this before we move on is, because Stax is Southern, it carries with it one of my favorite things, which transcends the black and white divide, by the way. This is just like a universal thing, that a trait that music from the South has that I really admire, which is it has specific lyrics, okay? Mm-hmm. There's like fucking research done into this, which is that, like, why are certain songs that are about sad things, why are some of them like, oh, I can just snap my fingers along to it and listen to it and have a good time, and some sad songs will make me cry, like I have to like stop what I'm doing because this affects me so much, you know what I mean? And they say that it's down to the specificity in the lyrics. Let me give you an example. One is Baby Love by the Supremes. Baby love.
Yeah.
Yes. So the lyrics, baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh how I need you. Okay, but all you do is treat me bad, break my heart and leave me sad. Tell me, what did I do wrong to make you stay away so long? Baby love, baby love. Okay?
So pretty oblique is what you're getting at.
Right. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, This is a good song. And
great
yeah,
song.
that's sad. Like, oh shit.
But
Why
it's
did you
like
break my heart?
something with that wide of an interpretation. It's for a wide audience, I would think. It's for a bunch of people. That's probably the thought process, at least.
But it leaves me with the question: what did he do?
Sure.
That broke your heart? Mm-hmm. All that I know is that he broke your heart. I know no specifics. Okay. Also, My Girl by The Temptations. So I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way? It's My Girl. Okay. Okay, that's great.
Beautiful. I love that song.
It's an amazing song, and those are really good lyrics. However, what is it that she does that is so great?
Right.
I get that she is great.
Right.
But in what way?
Right. Sure.
Okay. Stax Records. Okay. Okay. This is from a song by Shirley Brown called Woman to Woman.
Ooh.
Okay.
That already is such a more interesting topic.
Already
you're like,
It's a conversation between one person and another person.
And they're both
already.
women.
And they're both women. Exactly. It's specific. It's not specific. Me to you. It's woman to woman.
And like there's already so many connotations you can draw from that specificity alone. Like woman to woman is like, bitch, we have to fucking talk about this shit. Like,
okay, listen to these lyrics. You're not even ready for this. You're not even ready.
Okay.
Check out the difference. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hello, may I speak to Barbara? Barbara, this is Shirley. You might not know who I am, but the reason I am calling you is because I was just going through my old man's pockets this morning, and I just happened to find your name and number. So woman to woman, I don't think it's being any more than fair than to call you and let you know where I'm coming from. Now, Barbara, I don't know how you're going to take this, but whether you be cool or come out of a bag on me, you see, it doesn't really make any difference, but it's only fair that I let you know that the man you're in love with, he's mine. From the top of his head to the bottom of his feet, the bed he sleeps in, every piece of food he eats. You see, I make it possible. Okay, and it goes on from here.
Dude!
Okay?
It's like Jerry. It's like bordering on like Jerry Springer or something, or just whoa, the drama.
You can feel like even just reading that, I can feel like the
tension.
It makes you feel like dude, back away. Like you're too emotionally close to me. This is too intense.
Yeah.
Like that, my God.
Kind of like that new
back up.
That Kendrick song from Mr. Morale where it's like him and a girl like having a screaming argument with each other and it's like too real. It's just like, whoa.
Exactly.
Fuck. Yeah.
Exactly. So the Southern music, this is also the case of country music. Okay. This is not, like I said, this transcends the black-white divide. This is a Southern thing. It has this quality, like classic, good country songs. I mean, even new, stupid, shitty country songs, the lyrics are way more specific.
Yeah, dude.
You know the color of this man's truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just, ooh, girl, you're so great, girl. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah.
How? In what way is she so great?
Again, it points to what we were saying, which is like, you have these really broad songs for a wide audience and probably for teens, like first and foremost, they're trying to hook teenagers and young people, right? And it's like a really big, broad, friendly thing, right? And it's stuff that like mom and dad aren't going to fucking get cross at you about if you're listening to it or whatever. They're just going, oh, that's that sweet Stevie Wonder boy, like nice. Then you got shit like this where it's like, who is that fucking for, dude? Is that for children? Like, it's not. It is for adults, man. It is for adults. And again, I think this is probably what you have probably been attracted to about the label in the same sense that I am.
I think that you are right that it was intentionally made for a more mature audience. However, the only like quibble that I have is, I mean, even just think about when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, how much better was the content that was not made for you, that was not made for kids, it was made for adults. When the first time that you saw Pulp Fiction,
Jurassic
the first
Park.
time, Yeah, right. When you saw a dinosaur eat a man, right? But or listening to music that was like about Satan or about sex or about drugs or about topics that you were too young for. Like that shit was the most captivating, right? So I think that these Stax songs still were completely getting younger audiences wrapped up in it and totally into it, but probably for that same reason. Mm-hmm. Because the topics and the specificity is so adult that it's like, dude, that's amazing. That's what I want to listen to. That's what I wanted to listen to. When I was 12, when I was 13, I was way more like fixated and like amazed and curious about these songs and movies and stuff that were like made for people older than me.
And it's not only like, it's like, oh, this content is like for like a more adult like subject matter, or it's more captivating, or it's more intriguing, or more serious, or whatever. It's also like the strength in the messengers that they had. Like they had, like, okay, their flagship artist was Otis Redding, and if you've never listened to Otis Redding, it is like he's like, didn't he was 26 when he died. He didn't even make it to the 27 Club. He was like possibly like one of the most dynamic, emotional recording artists like who has ever like stepped up to the microphone, right? And it's like, who you got who is basically his messenger, right? It's Isaac Hayes. It's Isaac Hayes is writing the words for these singers on the label. And it, I don't know, it speaks to, because for me, man, I didn't even realize how much Isaac Hayes had even an influence on the music that I like. Because growing up, I was like, Otis Redding is my guy. I loved Otis Redding from an early age.
Yeah. I've heard you mention him a bunch of times in the years of knowing you.
Dude, I've gone out of my way to like go hunt down old like original pressings of like Otis records. Like I think I bought his Dictionary of Soul record, and it was like $100 or something crazy. Like I never spend that kind of money on records. But for Otis, it was like he was one of my first musical loves, like especially when I was a kid. And it's crazy because I didn't even know until this week. It's like, oh, Isaac Hayes was like the writer of his shit. And like, dude, even then after like kind of being like, oh, I want to get into other stuff on Stax, I got really into Sam and Dave. And it's like, nice. He wrote all of Sam and Dave's shit. Yeah. Like all that stuff is Isaac Hayes. And again, talk about strength of like a messenger. It's like Sam and Dave was like the Blues Brothers before the Blues Brothers was like this funny joke. It was like, that was like their real thing. It was two guys backed by just like the most fat back, like just amazing, like hype soul band. And they just had the best, literally, I like Sam and Dave's greatest hits. It's 20 songs, and it's every single song will like make you want to jump up and sing. Like it's so fun. And I have to believe most of it's Isaac Hayes. I didn't check for this, but, so it's kind of amazing, like how much of like a footprint, like he, in my opinion, he kind of like was Stax, like, which is crazy.
Yeah. So there was a time, so, Stax Records, had, pretty humble beginnings in terms of being a business. And for years, when they started recording and releasing records, pretty much all the musicians and songwriters and arrangers that worked there, didn't make enough money from working there that they needed to be gigging all week. Every night in order to like, financially survive, right?
Luckily, they're in Memphis.
Right. Where there are that many gigs to be had.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine doing that, like, and how tiring that would be.
Sure.
And so at a certain point, Stax eventually brought on 6 people. Out of all their stable of people, 6 individuals to become full-time employees, give them a full-time salary pay. So, and then they didn't have to gig every night all week anymore. And that was the 4 members of Booker T and the MGs. And it was Isaac Hayes and his songwriting partner Dave Porter. So out of everybody, Isaac Hayes was one of those six people determined to be like, okay,
priorities, man.
We actually need them.
Like priorities, dude. Look at their priorities were fucking straight up. Like, we need the two great songwriters and the sickest band on the label. Yeah. And they have to be permanent. Like, and they were right. Although exactly. I would make the argument that, like, I love Booker T and the MGs, but the Bar-Kays were just as good in a lot of ways and just as important.
But do you know why they weren't so prolific on the recordings of Stax in comparison to Booker T? Do you know why Booker T and the MGs was used in the studio so much more than the Bar-Kays?
Probably not. I was about to say because they died in a plane crash, but I'm not. I imagine this is you're talking about before that.
I am talking about before that. The reason why before that is because they were chosen to be Otis Redding's dedicated band.
The MGs?
No.
The Bar-Kays. That's right. Yeah, that's what I thought. The
Bar-Kays. Yeah. So basically, Otis Redding was the biggest star that Stax Records had, and he needed to be out there touring. He needed to be out there doing his thing. So they basically, sort of in the way that like Bob Marley was working so much more than all the other artists in Jamaica that they just gave him they just attached the Wailers to him.
Sure.
His retainer musicians. Mm-hmm. All those dudes who used to be doing sessions with other artists, they're not anymore. Now their full-time gig is just being with Bob Marley. It was that exact same situation with Otis Redding, okay? So the Bar-Kays, okay, they're just with Otis now. And so Booker T and the MGs was there in the studio all the time, and they were on all the recordings then.
So then imagine like the fucking basically mortal wound it was that tragically Otis Redding and the Bar-Kays, save for I think one member of the band, died in a plane crash.
Two members of the band survived because one of them wasn't on the plane.
That's right.
And one of them was on the plane, but he survived. But the rest of the band and Otis Redding died in that plane crash. Yeah.
So it was basically like literally almost like an unrecoverable loss for the label.
Yeah.
And what they did to try and like salvage the loss was, I forget who the label head was, but he ordered, this is crazy to me when I read this week. He ordered 27 albums to go into production at the same time at Stax.
There's one recording studio, by the way.
There's one recording studio.
Yeah.
He said ordered 27 albums to go into production at various stages. Basically just like fucking throw paint at the wall. Like something's got to stick. Something's got to work because we are fucked.
Real quick, can I put into this mix?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you're aware, so the plane crash happened, and almost around the same time, within a matter of months, of maybe even less than months, of that plane crash happening, due to a business deal, they also lost the rights to like the vast majority of their catalog of recordings to another label, okay?
So they were like fucked from all ends. Like right. They were screwed. And
so at that time is when what you said, the order of 20, okay, make all these albums. We have to completely refill the tank right now. Hurry. Otherwise we're out of business. Yeah.
Something had to stick, and what stuck? Hot Buttered Soul by Isaac Hayes.
So there were people in the Stax fold who had previously not been frontmen, front women of bands, not really artists or anything. And I mean, just imagine. I picture this. Just the president is just walking down the halls and like, you get a record. You, janitor, you're gonna be the star of your record. You record a record. Everybody record a record. Isaac. Okay.
Hey, you chef. Go make a record
Chef.
now.
Hello, children. Yeah.
Hello, children.
So Isaac Hayes, in this whole mass of records that comes out, one of them is Hot Buttered Soul by Isaac Hayes.
Yeah.
And that one sells a shitload of copies and becomes a hit.
But not without, like, from what I understand, like some pretty significant pushback in the form of, like, he had one record before this that I didn't listen to, but I've just heard sucked. And, like, when I read about what it is, it sounds
he says it's
kind of stupid. Yeah, it sounds kind of dumb. And the album cover is really dumb. It's just like the whole thing looks dumb.
The way that he tells the story is that this was before the panic emergency. They literally were just like around the studio one night, and like it was like an after party, or even after they had been at a party, not an after party. And him and the musicians just like recorded a bunch of jams, and like one of the executives was like, "Yeah, dude, yeah, we should release this." And he's like, "Okay, whatever,
sure."
And then a few weeks later, he's like, "Hey, you got to go down the hall, do your photo shoot for your album." He's like,
"What?"
He's like, "You're serious? I thought you were joking." And that was the first record, which he said was like he said like it's not good. We were just fucking around.
It's not really his first real like statement. Then
Yeah.
Hot Buttered Soul, on the other hand, very much is like his coming out party as.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of like fully formed. Like it's what I will say about this one is it's like I feel like all the raw material that we love in Black Moses is like evident and apparent already on Hot Buttered Soul. It's just Black Moses is much more like refined, and you can tell they took more time, and like Hot Buttered Soul is like very raw, but it's still the same kind of formula. It's like 10-minute songs. There's like these big preambles at the beginning. The band fucking rocks, and they're like super ornate, very like orchestrated, lots of strings, lots of like vibraphones and gospel singers and all this stuff. So it's kind of like all the stuff you think of when you think of Isaac Hayes, especially once we get to Black Moses. But it's like right there, like it's right there in the beginning of it. And I personally, I don't want to make you mad. I'm not trying to make you mad.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
I'm not saying I like Hot Buttered Soul more than Black Moses.
Oh,
and
that's what I thought you were going to say.
And we still have to talk about Black Moses. I am undecided. I started this week being like, I do like Hot Buttered Soul better than Black Moses, but not taking anything away from Black Moses. It's just what I think it is if you think about you and me, and if people know how me and Brandon like make music and produce and like kind of operate, I am very loosey-goosey, and I am very just kind of like I just kind of let things happen. And that is kind of, and I like things raw. And that is kind of how Hot Buttered Soul sounds to me. Where Brandon, it does not surprise, when you pick this, it did not surprise me in the slightest, because I'm like, this is the most ornate, intricate, perfect, like thought out, like perfect thing. It is like a perfect piece that he created.
It's a very Brandon album.
It's a very Brandon album. It's a very Brandon album. So I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, I listened to Black Moses 6 times this week, and I think I might have listened to Hot Buttered Soul like 4 or 5. And I was wrestling with, because I knew Hot Buttered Soul so much better. I'd never heard Black Moses. I was really wrestling with how I felt about it. I have kind of arrived at, I think, if the last song on Hot Buttered Soul was a little better, I think I would like it more. But I might have to hand it to you that Black Moses it really is like his crowning achievement.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a totally valid place to stand that Hot Buttered Soul is better. I think more people would agree with that than would agree that Black Moses is better. Hot Buttered Soul is the most, by far, his most famous, his most popular non-Shaft album that he made. It is the one that is like how they say your obituary album or whatever, or You know, or like when an actor dies, which album or which movie are they going to mention in their obituary? Isaac Hayes' is Hot Buttered Soul.
Absolutely. Or maybe it's Shaft.
Well, and Shaft. But like the one that is not Shaft
is Hot Buttered Soul.
Of his non-Shaft work.
Yeah.
It's Hot Buttered Soul. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I love that one, but I also it was rough because I wanted to like it more for the sake of like argument and maybe annoying you. But I kind of have arrived at like, I don't know. Black Moses is pretty fucking great. We got to talk.
It's fucking amazing.
We got to hit on Shaft too, though. We should talk about the Shaft soundtrack score.
Okay.
So first I want to ask you, did you watch Shaft this week?
I watched Shaft this week, the movie Shaft.
I watched the movie Shaft this week as well. I don't want to spoil how I felt about it. What did you think of Shaft? The movie, just the movie.
Just the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I had never watched it before.
Well, like the whole thing.
In my life.
Like Shaft. What did you think of Shaft?
Yeah. So I'd never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it for the first time. I fucking loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was such a
super
good
fun
movie. So it was amazing because it's definitely one of those things where, because the world is so full of the influence from Shaft, right? It's such a references to Shaft and influences of Shaft, our world that I have grown up in and lived in this entire time. I've been living in the world that has been affected and influenced by the movie Shaft and the character Shaft this whole time. So to finally watch the movie now, it's just like, holy crap.
It's pretty nuts. It's nuts. Yeah.
It's like reading the first chapter of a book that I've read all the other chapters of already, you know?
Here's how I felt about it. I don't knock anybody who thinks, who like puts it way up on like a pedestal of like, this is a great classic movie or whatever. For me, I felt it was a little slow. It was a little boring. It was a little like, you know, in the way that some kind of older 70s movies can be.
That's the thing about 70s movies. Is like, dude, they're so fucking slow. Yeah.
But that is the thing about it. It's a great like kind of hangout movie. And my biggest takeaway from it was, because my takeaway from it at the end was like, okay, as a movie, it's kind of just okay. It didn't like bowl me over, but I get why it's so famous. But really, my takeaway was like, remember, even if you make a just okay movie, if it has the greatest score ever made, you can get into the Library of Congress. Like the movie doesn't even have to be like that amazing, because the score, and I really think that is the reason that movie is held in such high regard. It's not necessarily that it's like the greatest movie. It's that the music itself is unbelievable. I think the music is better than the movie. That's kind of my hot take about Shaft.
Shaft is one of those movies which is one of, you know, it's one of those things where the cliche is true. The cliche of like, you have to understand what it was like at the time,
right,
when it came out. You know what I mean?
And you have to turn your brain off to all the parodies that you're more familiar with that are making fun of and like referencing the original thing.
Well,
you know,
wait. What I mean is like that character as portrayed, and the way that the character Shaft is, and the way that Richard Roundtree, the actor, played him, was such a like correction from the way that black men are portrayed in movies up until that point. So there's a whole way that black characters, that it makes perfect sense for us for them to be in stories where it's like, yeah, okay, he's like that. That it's only normal to us because Shaft existed. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he's Black Indiana Jones.
Right. He's like Superman
so
or something.
Fucking cool. And everything that he says is right. And he never lies because he never fucking needs to lie. The guy who's like threatening him, you know, what's his name? Willie, right? He's like, one of these days you and me are going to fight, you know? And he's just like, I can't even remember what he fucking says to him.
It's too cool.
It's too cool.
It's too
everything
cool.
that he says is cooler than anything that I could think of to say. It's everything that he says is so fucking perfect and on point, and everybody loves him. You know, that was like the first time that there was something like that, you know?
No, it's great. My point being is just that the music is even better. Like, and it's kind of like, it's funny to me because I feel like there were people in Isaac Hayes' orbit when he was making Hot Buttered Soul who were like, the song's too long. It's too orchestral. There's too much going on. No one's going to like it. And then he was like, oh yeah, we'll watch this. And then Hot Buttered Soul was a smash. And then it's like, he even like furthers like driving the point home of like, no, this is like what I do by literally making a film score. And he nails it. It's like one of the most
orchestral.
Yeah.
You can just picture him with his fucking conductor's baton, just like flowing, but in front of him is not a symphony. It's a fucking soul band.
It's a funk band.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Like he's conducting a guy's foot on a wah-wah pedal. Like imagine that. Like that's kind of what's going on. Part of me thinks that like so Shaft, the success of Hot Buttered Soul is one thing because he had 2 other albums after that too that are also pretty good, but like not as remarkable as Hot Buttered Soul or Black Moses or Shaft. But it almost kind of feels like the success of Shaft and like the themes of Shaft, like it's kind of like what you were saying, like we don't have like black men portrayed on film like this, right?
Yeah.
And it's he's almost like a black Superman or like a black superhero kind of thing. And it's like when you look into like his first off, I think Black Moses was just like a victory lap slam dunk on all the haters who told him like not to do this, this isn't gonna work, this isn't gonna work. And on top of that, it's a way, Black Moses was a way for him to drive home a lot of the themes, I think, of Shaft, right? Which is like, here's a black man who is proud, stands tall, is like a good person in his community, is sexy, fucks really good.
Fucks, F-U-X-X.
Is like a badass.
Yes.
And is like overall like a positive portrayal of like black masculinity, right?
Yeah.
And that is
and to the whole world, to all that are listening, not just insular to the black community.
And that's just
to the whole wide world. Yes.
And that's just like kind of embodied in the character of Shaft and like
exactly.
And like buoyed by the music that Isaac Hayes wrote. I have to believe that like when Shaft was like such a smash and the soundtrack was an even bigger smash, it was like he went into the studio with a head full of steam and was like, no, dude, like I am your Black Moses. Like Isaac Hayes. Like I'm the guy.
Yes. Because he recorded and made Black Moses like a matter of like weeks or a couple months at most after doing the Shaft soundtrack.
Crazy.
He did Shaft and then did Black Moses like immediately after that. Right?
It's crazy. Sometimes artists, they can just go on these transcendent runs where they are fully being channeled by God, and they're just like, I need to release 500 minutes of music like this year because I am fucking like God has picked me.
Exactly.
And dude, I don't know if you've seen like the album art for Black Moses, like the full album art, the vinyl. So it's like a 4-panel fold out thing where he's like full on like crucifixion pose. Like he's just like, dude, I am God. I am fucking Moses. Like
I have arrived.
But like, I think he's not Black Jesus or Black God. He's Black Moses. Like I will lead. I will lead you.
Origin? Do you know the origin of the name?
No.
Okay, so one of the
this is all
executives,
just my dumb conjecture.
No, it totally is. That is intentionally the aesthetic that all the packaging and the title is meant to convey. Is exactly what you're saying. Like here is the grand, powerful, complete, consummate black man. Everything that you need him to be, that you want him to be, that you wish he could be, he is all of it, and even more than you thought he could be. Here he is to lead us all, to lead us through the desert, right? To part the sea for us, you know? And that is absolutely the meaning and the intention of the title and the packaging.
Yeah.
But the origin of that idea, so Black Moses was a nickname given to him by one of the Stax Records executives, like years before this point. Just like started in public, like referring to him as Black Moses, just like alluding to his Isaac Hayes's like influential like personality and nature, just the way that everybody else in the company in Stax Records and just in the music industry and just the way that people responded to him. Like when he talked, people listened. People respected him and what he had to say so much. You know?
This might be like superficial, but it's worth noting. Like, I mean, it's like, dude, how could you not? I mean, the guy, he has like the deepest, most sultry baritone voice. Like, it is like, I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, I could imagine being in a room with him and it's like, how do you not fucking notice this guy? Like, he's big, he's tall, he fucking has this otherworldly voice, really, when you think about it.
Some people are just like that, man. Like I remember, so when I used to work at the studio that I used to work at, I remember when Snoop Dogg came in.
Dude, totally.
So Snoop Dogg came in like fucking 100 times when I was there. But one of the things about Snoop Dogg is he would always come in with a full entourage, like 40, 50 people into this studio, right? And I remember it would always happen where the majority of the entourage arrives before he does. The room is full of people already. And these are the people in society who would be in the entourage of Snoop Dogg. So they're cool, they're rich, they're interesting, they're connected, they're artists, they're like whatever, you know what I mean? These are like people who are cooler than we will ever be in our entire lives. They're in Snoop Dogg's entourage, and This room is full of them. They're dressed cool. They look they're beautiful, right? And then Snoop Dogg walks in. And I remember thinking every single time that, like, even if he wasn't the star, you would notice him in the crowd anyway.
For sure.
Like, as soon as he walks in, it's even beyond the fact that he's a celebrity, how much taller, more handsome, more fit, more
the way
everything.
His voice sounds, like the way he talks, the way his voice sounds, the way they carry themselves.
Thing. And I've never met Isaac Hayes. I've never seen him with my own eyes, but like, yeah, you just totally get that vibe that that's what he was like.
Yeah, he had to have been.
You know?
Yeah.
Getting into the album itself, Black Moses, I just have to say, I don't know if I've expressed this enough. This is one of my favorite albums.
I get it.
At all. I fucking love this album so much. This is one of my, like, every year I listen to it a couple times.
It fucks me up that you had this like fucking ace card in your back pocket, and I'm just like, now what do I pick? Now what do I do? How do I keep the show going? I mean, we could end the show, say 8 episodes in, because I loved this album so much.
It really makes me nervous. Like, I'm wondering how much of our listenership, like, doesn't know it, or maybe is not really interested in soul music or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they are. But like, it sort of does make me nervous that, like, people will see, okay, the next episode, Isaac Hayes, Black Moses. What is that? I've never heard of it. Or I'm not interested in that. Maybe, I don't know. But dude, those of you who have heard it, who know, oh my God, what a monumental musical object this is. This is like, it belongs in a museum, you know? Fucking, okay.
So one of the things I noticed about it, like my kind of like cohesive like kind of theory of like what Black Moses is in relation to Isaac Hayes. It's like, okay, so he went into it with his head full of steam after Shaft, knowing full well that he could do this cinematic type soul that I think people kind of probably tried to steer him away from maybe early in his career, and probably rightfully so. They're like, dude, you write fucking Sam and Dave songs. Like,
it's risky.
Yeah, it's risky. Like, write more Sam and Dave songs, dude. Like, it's 1969, you know? So knowing full well that he could do that and it was commercially viable, and then Shaft probably just basically gave him a blank check for his next project. That's what this sounds like. What this sounds like is a fucking blank check record. Like, it's like, I'm going to hire all the people I want to play on this. We're going to take as much time as I want to record this. We're going to sing. Well, I'm going to sing any song I want. Half the songs are going to be covers. I don't give a fuck. They're all going to be covers. If it's up for me, you know, I think there's one Isaac Hayes original on this song, on this album.
Half. So that's one of the most interesting things about this record, that one of in this record label, in this community and this company that is making this record, the most like prolific writer, maker of original music, and he chooses on his blank check record, what is he going to do? It is essentially a complete covers album. Out of how many songs are on it? 15, something like that?
I forget.
One of them is not a cover.
And it's 6969, right?
Yeah. Good Love 6969. Which is, you know, just kind of one unique song that is different from the others. It's sort of sitting over here in its own category of songs. All the rest of it, all the other 95% of what this is, the meat and bones and sides and greens of this album, is cover songs. It's so interesting. It's such a bewildering sort of like, you would never guess that that's what he would do.
It's crazy, really, because you're right. It's like we can't underscore enough how many hit songs he's written, and it's crazy that he would. But here's the thing about the covers on this record. So I had like a profound listening experience while listening to Brand New Me. It's like, I think it's called Ike's Rap 4/Brand New Me. Okay.
Yes.
Brand New Me blew me away. Like, in a way that like I just was like, I cannot believe I can't remember the last time I was so moved by a song. Like I just was like, it definitely made me emotional. I cried listening to it after I kind of fully digested the meaning of the song, and I was a little stoned, which didn't hurt. But I kind of had this thought that like, okay, so I went back and I listened to I listened to as many earlier versions as I could. I found a Dusty Springfield version of it.
Yeah, that's like the main one. Yeah.
I found, and then I looked up who wrote it, and I forget his name off the top of my head, but I looked up who wrote it, and it's credited on the record. I looked up who wrote it, and I found his version of the song too. And man, my biggest takeaway, first off, I heard the Dusty Springfield version first. I like Dusty Springfield, but I was just like, this kind of sucks. Like, this isn't a very good song, really. But like Isaac Hayes did it, and like, why is it so much better? Like, and then I listened to the original, thinking like, oh, maybe the first version is like, is kind of closer in line with the Isaac Hayes version, or it's like sort of similar or something. No, it's just like the Dusty Springfield version, but just a different guys singing, different groups doing it.
Yes.
And like, dude, the way I would describe, so like, when you listen to Isaac Hayes' version of Brand New Me compared to the original ones, it is akin to like a script rewrite or something. It is not a note for note cover. It's like if someone was like, they gave him, Isaac Hayes, the raw material of a song, like the words, loosely the melody, the phrasing, all kinds of stuff. And he basically was like, I'm not going to cover this. I'm going to rewrite this for you.
Right.
Like, I'm going to start it from scratch. The bones of it are going to be your song, but like, I am going to reconfigure this song in a way that I don't even know if I'm comfortable calling it a cover, because it is such a like fundamental reworking and reconfiguration of the song in such a better and more fulfilling way that it's like calling it a cover is like doing it a disservice. Like it is actually like it's almost a slight to call Brand New Me a cover, like simply just a cover song, because the work that must have went into what he does on this record, there's no way he just was like, all right, guys, here's the sheet music, let's go. It's like, dude, no, man. This is a brand new me. It's a brand new song, dude. It's a brand new fucking song.
New song.
It might as well be called brand new song.
Made me a brand new song.
Yeah. And he does, and this is kind of his approach for all the songs on this record. Like what's the first song? The first song was what? It's a Jackson 5 cover, right?
Yes, it's Never Can Say Goodbye.
Dude, fuck me. Okay, let's just start from the top. I mean, because like I start with Brand New Me because I think it's the best example on the record of what he's doing, which is like he's like taking the raw material of a song and he's completely like Isaac Hayesifying it, right? And it's a totally new thing. But like I think that's the best example of on this, but I'm also less familiar with all the originals of a lot of these songs. I knew the Jackson 5 one, and I loved what he did with it. It's similar. It's more similar to like his version and their version is more similar, but it is still totally his thing that he's doing with it.
Throughout the album, there's varying degrees of similarity. So
yeah.
Some of the 2 or 3 of them are actually very similar to the original. But most of them are more like what you're talking about with Brand New Me, which is like, what the fuck? Like, how is this even the same song? Okay. And what you're talking about really brings illumination to something that I feel that is very important about music that most people who aren't musicians don't understand, which is that when you say a song, I wrote a song, I have a song. Hey, would you guys play my song? What is a song? The song is chords and lyrics. That's what it is. It's these lyrics. Well, it's chords and lyrics and vocal melody. That's tied in with the lyrics. Okay, the way that the voice goes. There's 2 things: the way that the voice goes and the chords that you play underneath that. That's what the song is. Okay. And that's why a song can be so drastically reinterpreted and re-performed and done in a reggae style, done in a country style, done in a techno style, done in a jazz lounge style. It's because you just put those musical stylistic trappings, the like musical conventions and identifiers that are particular to that style of music, and you plug into that these chords and you sing this the way that this vocal part goes on the top of it. That's the song. It's the same song.
Yes.
Okay? So that's what he did there, and that's what he does with a lot of the other songs on this album, essentially all of them, because this is one of the reasons why I love this album so much, is because it is the most incredible example of how to do cover songs.
Yeah.
This is the best demonstration of what is possible. How far the boundaries of the possibilities go in what you can do how far you can, not just technically, but emotionally, like take the meaning, because Isaac Hayes brings so much more depth and meaning and emotion from the original chords and lyrics that the original recordings did not capture.
No.
The earlier versions, right? Because every time that you are put on a song and listen to it, you're not listening to that song. What you're listening to is that recording of that song, okay? That was done on that day by those people. And Isaac Hayes, basically, for this album, went through and cherry-picked a bunch of songs where he could recognize there is something so powerful here that no one else has mined yet. No one else who's recorded these songs has quite actually struck how deep this idea goes of this song, you know. And brand new me is exactly like that.
Yeah, it's for me, it's the mark of, it's clear that like the reason he's able to do this is he's like a professional songwriter. Like it's like a professional. He could like identify all the raw materials and building blocks of like something that if I heard it, like when I listened to like the Dusty Springfield version, I just was like, this is like crappy. This is like crappy, like,
yes,
like chintzy, kind of kitschy, like late 60s kind of pop that like radio pop that is just like very throwaway. But like, it's like you could tell he heard that song, and like you said, what he was able to draw out of it, and then represent in his way, it's like, it's almost like something like it's like watching like an amazing athlete or something. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. Like I just couldn't believe it when I compared them. Like,
I think another really good example of this is Man's Temptation is also like that.
Okay.
That's so wait, what was the group that Curtis Mayfield was?
The Impressions. The
Impressions.
Yeah.
So Man's Temptation is an Impressions song. And the original, dude, it just sounds like it's just a guy singing.
Yeah.
It's a song with a guy singing. Okay. But Isaac Hayes finds, see, what that song is about a man who has committed to be faithful to his wife, to his partner, to his woman. And he's resolved, like, I'm going to be a faithful man. That's me. And the song is about this moment where he realizes, like, oh my God, I'm about to cheat on her. Like, I cannot resist the strength of the draw to this other woman. I'm not big enough to fucking to hold it back. And that feeling, see, you see what I mean? How fucking deep that is? The original song, it just sounds like a guy singing a song.
Yeah.
When Isaac Hayes does it, it's like, oh my God, dude.
It's cinematic.
The depth of this like human moment is he brings it out. He brings it out.
Man, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest that this basically like magnum opus and like crowning moment on his career up to this point was 90 minutes long. And he has such like he has such a rich history of like introducing like the language of cinematic music into his pop music, right? It's like, this is the Isaac Hayes movie. This Isaac Hayes is the writer, the director, the star of his fucking movie, and it's called Black Moses. That's what this is. Yes. It doesn't surprise me at all. Like
it's just him, dude, like,
yeah,
here I am.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's
to lead you.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. That really struck me because that was stuck in my head all week. Was like 90 minutes. That's a fucking movie. I would think about it all the time, and then it hit me. I'm like, no shit, dude. That's probably on purpose. Like it's probably he probably did that. He fucking knows that. Like he probably knew that. You know.
Okay, this brings me perfectly into a quote that I wanted to read to you. Okay,
let's do it.
Quote corner. You identified a brand new me, not a brand new day, a brand new me, and that's one of the songs on this album that starts with Ike's rap. You got Ike's rap 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. And what those are is before the song begins, Ike is going to rap with you. And I love that too, by the way, because just the use of the word rap reminds me of my mom. And one of the most 70s ass things that my mom used to always say is it was use the word rap to mean talk. Right? So this is like some 70s slang that did not survive.
Yeah.
Nobody uses the word rap like this anymore. It's like, hey,
let's rap about it.
Yeah. Come over here and rap with me. Rap with me for a minute.
Are you having trouble with peer pressure and drugs at school? let's sit down and rap about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. So Ike is going to rap with you for a minute.
Yeah.
Come over here. Let me rap with you before I sing you this song. Let me rap with you for a minute. Right? And so this quote here is him explaining the origin of why he does that. Why does he do that in the beginning of these songs? Okay. And what he's talking about is a song from Hot Buttered Soul, which is one of his biggest hits that he ever had, which is his version of By the Time I Get to Phoenix. By the Time I Get to Phoenix is a cover. Mm-hmm. The famous version, original version, was by Glenn Campbell. Mm-hmm. Okay. Great country singer.
Bakersfield country song.
Beautiful, amazing song. And similarly to what we were talking about, when you listen to it, it's like, yeah, it's a guy singing a song. Mm. Okay. But okay, when you listen to Isaac Hayes' version, it begins with this fucking like multiple minute long, 4 minute long just story about like, so listen, everybody, there was this man, his woman kept cheating on him. Oh, and he just like kept forgiving her. He thought that you know, he just had to keep on coming back. And, you know, finally, like after all this time, like he finally left her. I'm gonna leave you finally. It's this whole emotional thing. It's amazing, right? And then he gets into and then he sings the song. So here's Isaac Hayes talking about that doing those raps came about, he says, by necessity. So he says, when I first heard Phoenix, it knocked me out. The arrangement, the vocal message, the whole thing. So I went to the studio and told some of the musicians that I'd heard this really hip tune. And they said they'd heard it, but you could tell they thought it was just another tune. At the time, I didn't even know it had been a chart hit for Glenn Campbell, but I still wanted to cut it, meaning I still wanted to record my version of it. So what I did was this. One of the Stax backup groups was gigging at a club in Memphis. I went to sit in one night and I asked if they knew Phoenix, and they said they did. There was a lot of drinking and talking going on, and I thought to myself, how can I do this tune when these people have never heard it before? I don't want to turn them off. So I told the musicians, hey man, hang up on a B-flat 11 chord and don't change it until I start singing the song. So they started, and I started rapping. People kept talking for a while, but finally the sound began to subside and they began to listen. I started telling them a story about a situation that a black man could interpret in the song. Pretty soon, everybody was just sitting there listening. And when I hit the first line of the song, by the time I get to Phoenix, oh man, they dug it. And they sat and listened to the whole song. And I thought, wow, maybe I've got something. I wasn't completely convinced yet, though, even though I thought maybe there was something unique in the way I had done it. So I sang it in a club that had a predominantly white audience the same way, and they dug it too. Mm. And pretty soon, everybody started to request it.
Wow.
So then, the end of the quote, this is Brandon talking now. So then, they go into the studio to record Hot Buttered Soul, and they do By the Time I Get to Phoenix in one take, which is 18 minutes long, with that rap talking in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they kept it, and it became like his biggest fucking hit.
Yeah,
So Black Moses, he does that 3 more times.
Yeah. Well,
and look at the effect that it had on you now in 2025.
True. It's true. It works. It totally fucking works.
Tears out of you because he understands, like, look, you guys, there is like such a powerful feeling in this song, and none of you guys get it. Let me tell you. Yeah. Let me bring you. Let me say it to you in a way so that you can understand it, and then I'll sing it to you. And like, it fucking works. Yeah, it's amazing.
He's able to channel. He's like panning for gold. He's like, oh, this.
Yeah, dude.
This is a bunch of dirt. This song is a bunch of dirt, but in that dirt is a little gold nugget called the meaning of the song.
Yes.
and when I do it, I can fashion that meaning into a song, into like a beautiful gold ring you're gonna want to put on your fucking finger forever.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and like we should touch on too, just like, you know, we've kind of brought it up, but just like how like ornate like the arrangements are, and like and also what kind of hit me was just like how perfectly it's mixed too. Like all the low end information is low end. It's like where you would expect it. It's like kick, the kick and bass and the snare are super fat. But you also have this really interesting thing where kick is in the center, but the drums are like kind of panned.
I'm so glad that you noticed that.
To the right.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
It's cool.
The top of the drum kit is over here.
Yeah, but some of the toms
kick drum is right in the center. It's very interesting. And I think the only way I could kind of like, the only thing I could describe that to is just like, they're just making room for the rest of the shit that's going on. Like, cause then there's like, I counted one at a time. I think it was like 3 different guitars. Obviously bass, there's strings, there's horns that are drenched in verb. All the strings and horns are drenched in verb. Also, those are like panning, like sweeping. He does that a lot in a lot of his stuff, where he'll like the shaft, like wah-wah guitars, like constantly sweeping. He's doing that like with horns and with like violins. It's like stuff. It's just like swirling and like swimming around in the mix. And he's also got a choir, and all this stuff is like all the low end is like filtered out of all this stuff, so that it's just everything is just really crisp and clear, and it just like everything's just like clean and like fits in like a perfect little puzzle piece. Like nothing sounds like muddled or cluttered, or harsh. This is like Steely Dan levels of just like,
honestly, yeah,
clean, squeaky clean production.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really, really remarkable. Like full big soul band augmented by like a small orchestra basically, and gospel singers. And it fucking sounds really fluid and natural, and like doesn't sound cluttered or messy ever.
Never.
You know, like, because
never. There's not one moment where anything is stepping on anything else.
Never.
In this album.
And like as great as Hot Buttered Soul is, it is a really raw form of this idea, and it is kind of sloppy in places, and but it's cool. Like
it's
like
way rougher.
You can
way
hear
more brittle sounding than Black Moses is.
On parts of Hot Buttered Soul, you can hear the fingers on the B3 as he's fucking sweeping shit, right? And it's like you hear that because he's playing the B3, right?
Yes.
But like on this, you can tell it's like, dude, they fucking like took their time on all these tracks.
Yes.
Like everything that needed to be overdubbed or perfected was. Nothing was like some big live thing. It didn't feel that way to me.
I was going to say, this is sort of a similar thing to our Trout Mask replica amazement of that album, when we were talking about, like, I can't believe they practiced it and rehearsed it so much to the point where they could record all these songs live together in one take.
Yeah.
I suspect that all these tracks on Black Moses, like at least all of the rhythm section, meaning the drums, bass, guitars, keys, and all that, the main band, that these are all single take, all of them playing at the same time together.
Could be.
I'm convinced that they're a bit, because, and this is so amazing, of how few mistakes there are, but there are mistakes.
Okay. None that I noticed.
And
Hot
it's mainly
on Hot Buttered Soul, it's clear. You can hear. I think you can very clearly hear when stuff is like a little sloppy, but it's fun. It adds to like the rawness of that record.
Yes.
On this, if you're telling me there's a mistake, I did not hear them.
There are. There's a couple. So one of them is in the second track. They long to be close to you. Mm-hmm. The other one, I can't remember where it is. It's like Help Me Love or something like that. But they always happen in. So there's sort of a motif that will happen periodically throughout the record, which is that the band will like do a bunch of hits in sequence together, like ban, 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 ba-dan, you know, like, and then they'll get to one where instead of doing it 4 hits, we're going to do like 12 hits together before we go back. And so there's a couple times in those moments where like the bass player, like, oh shit, oh, I went too early. Or like, you know, they like, you can tell the bass player thought there was only 10 instead of 12.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Sure.
But they, oh shit, you can hear them like quickly correct and,
he
join
saves
in.
it. Yeah.
But the presence of those, it's sort of like the exception proves the rule type of a thing. The presence of those little mistakes sort of like proves that these are real.
Yes.
That these are just fucking live recordings where they got 99.9 of it fucking perfect, like an Olympian, you know? It's amazing.
I imagine went something like this. It was probably Isaac with the band, with Isaac possibly playing organ or keys or something. Because I've seen some stuff of him basically conducting from like a Rhodes piano, like a Rhodes electric piano, like on the Shaft stuff. Like that's kind of how he did it. And it's like conducting is so funny because it's like conductor, you imagine like a big room and an orchestra. It's like him in a fucking little practice room, like a recording studio. You know, so I imagine it was something probably very similar to that. I don't know why it wouldn't be, right? I mean, you're right. It's probably his core band. But then all that other stuff, the choir, and
the strings, and
the horns, that's all big overdub stuff. But you know, and just like adding on to just like how great some of this, it's like the dynamics on this too. Like there are times where it's just like it is like blisteringly loud, like very suddenly, and then just like a whisper quiet. Like it's like really just remarkable shit that they're able to do.
Some of the precision of the hits. So if it is overdubs, if the strings and the horns are overdubbed,
I think they have to be,
and basically were not performed at the same time as the drummer. If that is the case, I am amazed at some of the precision that they were able to get. Like, because there are moments where like the drums will stop and it's just bunt, 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 and then they come in, you know, like moments of release before or tension before release, and how accurate all of those horns are. So you have to remember, this is back in the days of tape.
Yeah.
So if all that this section of musicians has is listening to the earlier recording of the drummer in their headphones, to be able to lock in that tightly with that much space in between the hits and not, you see what I'm saying, right?
They had to have been in the room doing it is kind of...
I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Because to get the sound that clean and to have that much reverb on the strings and the horns and not on the rest, like you're saying, it sounds like they must have been overdubbed.
Yeah. I just would think practically.
But right, just to fit them all in the room.
Yeah, or just like why would you run the risk of like having an orchestra and horn section there the day of the recording basics when like if the bass player fucks up, you have like 60 people waiting on you rather than like 10 people, you know?
Right. That too.
Yeah.
But man, but like a lot of times with pop music back in the days of recording on tape, you can notice that there is some kind of drift of where the strings are they're not super locked into the drums, super locked in like how the bass player is, right? And a lot of times you'll notice that the way that they arrange the music helps that out. So to minimize how many like rhythmic moments that would be challenging that there are. But Black Moses is full of like really tough moments to synchronize.
Yeah.
And they nail it perfectly every time.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful marriage too of like his... I would say like Hot Buttered Soul is like the best of the soul aspects of his musicality. And like something like Shaft is like more of the best aspects of like the more cinematic, like scory aspects of his discography. And yet I would say actually really this is the best of both of those. It's like you've got like the great funk soul guitar playing stuff that he's kind of known for with Hot Bird Soul and certainly on Shaft 2. But it's like he's like at this point like basically perfected like the strings and having all that stuff there. Like it's like it's the Isaac Hayes sound at this point.
Speaking of the Isaac Hayes sound, what is more quintessential and okay?
Are you talking about the wah guitar thing?
Well, okay.
To me, that's the Isaac Hayes like. So other than his voice, the wah guitar thing, like that is like what he's
said.
Known
Other
for.
than his voice, the question that I was going to say was like, okay, just for the general public, you say Isaac Hayes, you think
Chef.
Well, yeah, Chef, but I mean, like, what about? I would think deep voice.
Oh, yes, of course.
The sex voice. Yeah. Isaac Hayes and Barry White, they're the sex voice guys.
That's true.
Everybody knows it. They're the oh baby,
dude. You know what though?
Right?
When he sings like call me on the phone 6969, like I'll fucking do this for you, I'll do that for you. It's like he almost sounds like the way rappers now will like rap about how much better at rapping they are than you. It's like he's singing about like how much better he is at fucking than you, and you're kind of like, dude, I believe this motherfucker. And you know what? On top of that, he believes it. It's not like a character. It's not like a character. It's not a put on. He's like, I'm writing this so that like when I play my shows and I sing, and he even starts the song. He says, "All the young, beautiful women gather around. I have something to tell you." He's like, dude, he's fucking serious. He's serious. Like that's like, it is not a put on. Like he is that dude. He is like the sex machine kind of guy.
The lyric in that song, "It ain't how good I make it, baby. It's how I make it good." It's like, see, only a dude who is incredible at fucking would even know to say that.
Or even like have the audacity to say that because you know you can back it up. Like, come on, dude.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Okay. But no, so his voice, that thing, so the sex voice, the deep, the ooh baby, yeah voice is his like thing that he's known for. And on this album, it is on full display.
Yes.
From the first time that his voice comes in all the way to the end, you get 90 minutes of just holy crap. I can see why people know this about him, or I can see why this is
we have
what
kind of
he's
buried
known for.
We have kind of buried the lead a little bit, I guess, which is like if you don't know Isaac Hayes, he has like
holy shit,
the deepest, most like insane voice.
Yes.
Like yeah,
but when it's on such full display on this album, it's not corny. It's not, you know, like. So
that's one of my bigger takeaways of this whole experience is like he isn't corny. Like it's not corny.
It is not corny. And that's why like in the beginning where we said like, look, this shit goes so much beyond Chef. You don't even know.
Dude, I'm embarrassed. I broke my own rule from the start of the show by mentioning Chef. I'm embarrassed I even brought up Chef again. Because it's like, come on. But
yeah, well, it might have been me who brought it up first.
No. You asked, what do you think of? And I said,
oh,
Chef.
that's true. It was you.
It's my
You're
fault.
like, Chef.
Yeah.
No, but so his voice is like one of the, like, it's one of the things on the Mount Rushmore of sexiness. You know what I mean? It's like Scarlett Johansson's entire everything and a few other things, and Isaac Hayes' voice. You know what I mean? Like the sexiest things ever.
Scarlett Johansson's, everything.
Everything about Scarlett Johansson. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my theory. You want to hear my theory?
Yeah.
Why is Isaac Hayes' voice? Why does it induce such a inescapable presence of sexuality? Holy fuck. Okay. And the effect that it has on
everybody,
and especially on people who are attracted to men. and
Yes.
like having sex with men, especially. Why? Here's my theory. It's because his voice is undeniably masculine. It is, you hear it. It is, you cannot get around the maleness, the masculinity of this individual. And I think that so it's sort of like the male equivalent of, like sexy baby voice.
Or of like Marilyn Monroe. Like, okay, I just watched Gentlemen Prefer Blondes for the first time like a few weeks ago, right? Her voice is comically feminine to like almost sad, like satirical levels. But it's like at the same time, you look at her, you listen to her talk. She's like undeniably,
it's
like
undeniable.
I can't resist. She's amazing.
My theory, Isaac Hayes is the male equivalent of that. Okay,
Yeah,
his
kinda,
voice is the male equivalent of that. Oh, okay. I wish there was a strong man who could hurt me. Like, because it's undeniable of the, we are attracted to what is exclusive to the whatever sex or both sexes that we are attracted to.
I can hear I can hear a lot of keyboard warriors be like picking apart and arguing with you, but I won't. I basically agree with you. That is a very interesting point you bring up, but I'm certain that that's a component of what makes him so attractive to people and sexually alluring. But it's also that he exudes sex in every way, like the way he dresses, the way he holds himself, the shit he sings about. Like,
it's not hidden.
It's not hidden at all.
It's like front. It's like
he makes music for fucking too. It's what you're. I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that's just like a piece of the puzzle.
Well, I'm just trying to find what makes it actually work, as opposed to if like Jerry Seinfeld were to record an album that was for fucking, and it's all songs where it's like, okay, everybody, let's get together and have sex now. Like it wouldn't work. It wouldn't actually fucking accomplish the purpose.
I don't know.
I'm looking for what is it that makes Isaac Hayes's his attempts at it be so fucking effective.
But first off, before we go into like our standout songs, I want to ask you, when you're listening on, did you listen to this on Spotify? I take it?
Yes.
Okay. Is it divided in like volume 1, volume 2?
Okay. This is interesting. Yes, it's 1 and 2. Volume 1, volume 2. It's not called volume, but it's 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay. So, this is another Nate Vinyl Factoid Corner. I'm
so glad that you're bringing this up, because this was one of my notes too, but I decided to leave it off because I'm not a huge nerd.
This annoyed the shit out of me as a vinyl person because I had no choice in the matter. Basically, the reason it's volume 1 and volume 2 is because back in the day, in the 70s, this was a double album, right? So back in the day when this came out, they had there were certain home stereo record players that you could buy that would basically, they were like automatic. They would put side 1 and side 4 on the first disc, and then side 2 and side 3 on the second disc.
Exactly.
So that is called auto coupling. I hate it on vinyl, and I hate because it's just a relic of something we don't even use anymore. And I hate that track listing is what's on music services. So volume 1 is tracks 1 through 4 of side A, and then tracks 1 through 4 of side 4. So you're actually listening to the beginning and the end of the album, and then the middle of the album, you're listening to the end. So the beginning and end, you're listening first, and in the middle, you're listening at the. I fucking hated it. It drove me fucking crazy.
It's automatic sequence. They also
automatic
call
sequence.
It, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea is so that because if the double vinyl, double album comes to you, and it's in the normal way. Okay, disc one is side A and B. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to get up to flip the record.
Four times.
Well, no, 3 times in order to hear 4 sides. Right. You have to flip it 3 times. But to put it in your automatic double album player, like you're saying, if it's in automatic sequence that is made for these players, you only have to get up to flip it 1 time. Because it starts, because you drop the needle on the top of the disc for both ones. So it plays the first disc, you get side A. Then it plays the second disc, you get side B. Then you get up and you flip both of them. Then you press play again, and you get the first disc, side C, and the second disc, side D. And you hear it in the correct order, and you only had to get up 1 time.
And because music services are lazy and fucking stupid. I cannot believe that made its way all the way to 2025 on Spotify. Like, bro, I can't believe that.
I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I also learned about this in preparing for this episode, and I never knew that the entire
You've listened to it wrong the whole time.
Listened to this album, I've been listening to the songs in the wrong order. I've been hearing side A, side D, side B, side C.
Isn't it weird that Brand New Me would be like so close to the beginning when it's such like this beautiful like thing that he's doing? And like what was the one that you liked that's right after that one that you really liked?
Going in Circles.
Going in Circles. Kind of a weird, like a great kind of finale song, but kind of weird to like throw just in the middle of the fucking record.
But
like
that's how it's always been to me. And this really brought me on to something interesting, because look, if this had happened to an album like, I don't know, like a Beatles album or I don't know, like a Radiohead album,
like the White Album or something. They would never have let this happen.
What are some albums? And this is, you know, put in the comments, put in chat, put in the comments, drop down in there. Like, what are some albums where the order that the songs are in is very important? It like is so critical to the experience and the intention and the payoff of, you know what I mean? But this made me realize that, like, oh my God, I think that Black Moses, this is a collection of music that the order that you hear them in is not really actually that consequential. I don't think.
I hate that I agree with you, but I also felt that way.
Yeah, right? This is so...
But I still think it's fucking stupid. It's like, so, okay, then if it's not important, then put it in the right fucking way. You know, if it's not important, then fucking just put it the right way, you know?
The people whose job it is to fucking curate and manage the vault of these recordings of the fucking history of music need to be paying closer attention. Yes, absolutely. There's no excuse for them. However, just by blind luck, I think this is an album which is kind of rare amongst the ones that I really gravitate towards, where like this harkens back to like the original meaning of the word album, like in the sense of a photo album or something. You know, this is a collection.
Yes,
this is a collection of a group of songs. Yeah, this is an album. You know,
right? It's not like a concept album or something like that.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all. At least not in that way. Because Black Moses is completely a concept album, in that it's a cohesive statement of a person, of a moment in time.
It's like an ethos.
Yeah, but it's really amazing and sort of counterintuitive in that way, where it's just a collection of pieces of music. Each one is its own island, and you just listen to that one, listen to that one, listen to this one, listen to that one, and that's the way that it has wound up, because I've been listening to it for so many years. I just like hop around, dude. I just start in the middle, go to the earlier, go later, go pick that one, this one.
I really look forward to, I'm going to buy this on vinyl as soon as possible. And I look forward to listening to it in the right sequence finally. But
fucking correct order.
But so we've kind of gushed over all the songs we love on this. Did you have any like major standout songs? Because I certainly had Brand New Me and Good Love 69969. I fucking love both of those like quite a bit.
Wow, see, that's so cool, man. Because I would never have guessed like, okay, the two songs that are gonna stand out to Nate are those two. Never would have picked them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because every song on here is a goddamn masterpiece.
Yeah,
but it's just interesting.
I liked Other Notes. Part-Time Love I really liked because it reminded me the most of the Shaft score.
Yeah,
because it has that sick wah thing. Yeah,
dude, the orchestra hits in there. This was the main song that I had in mind when I was talking about the precision of the hits, dude. You know, that's coming out of silence.
Yeah.
Just bow.
Yeah.
Bow, bow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That song. And speaking of that might be the song that is the most unrecognizable from the original out of all. Yeah. I think.
And first song I think I brought up already, Can't Say Goodbye. Fucking such a sick way to open the record. Loved it. The only other note I have is They Long to Be Close to You. That was the one when I first heard this. I was like, this kind of is giving me Philly soul vibes, which was surprising to come from Memphis guy. But I really think I only keyed in on that because of like the vibraphones in it. Which is a very like Philly soul, like a lot of the stuff he's doing, like is kind of a Philly.
Are you talking about the high pitch thing, the ding do ding?
I think so. Yeah.
That's a glockenspiel.
Okay, glockenspiel. That's what I meant.
Which is essentially just like a soprano vibraphone.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I meant. So that kind of stuff is like very, and like the strings and like a lot of the stuff he's doing, he's kind of front running like the kind of Philly soul sound, which is very interesting to me, but kind of a separate conversation. But what about you? Those were the ones I made kind of notes for.
So my clear number one favorite song on here is Never Gonna Give You Up.
Nice.
Okay. So this is the song I told you about this in the bonus episode that we did before this. What I said to Nate was, there is a song on this album that is one of my favorite bass and drum songs of all time, and I wonder if you can guess which one it is. It's this one, Never Gonna Give You Up. Right, so the bing, bam, 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 and then he fills in bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, be dee doo doo doom, be dee doo doo doom. It's like, okay, as a bass player, I'm predominantly a bass player.
This is such a bass player album.
Dude, holy fuck. How often do you hear a recording from America that completely stands up to the drum and bass groove standards of Jamaica, of roots reggae?
Only when we do it.
Amen. This is one of the only like in my opinion, like the James Jamerson, it's like, no, yeah, that's funky as hell, but it doesn't stand up to the Jamaicans. All the Stax shit, I like Stax more because it is a deeper bass and drum groove because it's closer to Jamaica than Motown. That's why I like Stax so much more. But it's not Jamaican, not even close to those drummers and bass players and how deep of a pocket they locked into. This song might be the only one when that, after the intro, when the shit drops in and the Isaac Hayes is doubling the bass line on the lower keys of the piano. So those three guys, the drummer, the bass player, and Isaac Hayes on with the bass keys locking in, it is so fucking fat. So fat. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my favorite song. Second favorite is Going in Circles.
You mentioned that one.
It has the payoff, this huge orchestral symphonic arrangement, and it makes you wait. Like it's all.
Is that
building.
the one where he's singing that really crazy, like almost falsetto line,
Yes.
above the whole thing the whole time?
Strung out over you.
That is fucking.
Over you. Strung out over you. Yes, exactly.
Dude,
and
right,
you have
is...
to wait like five minutes to hear it. It's, dude.
That is one of the
unreal.
One of the standout moments in the whole record is when Isaac Hayes, Mr. Deep Voice, goes into like a falsetto.
Dude,
it's wild.
In this discussion, we have not paid enough attention to how strong of a vocal performer he is. Like, he goes so much harder than he needs to. He goes so much beyond like the emeritus songwriter who now gets to release his own albums. Normally when that happens, the guy just sings, "Oh yeah, here I am singing, here's my band, here's the music that I chose to put on my album, I'm gonna sing it because I technically know how to sing too." Dude, Isaac Hayes like fucking embodies like 5-6 different characters and people and emotional locations, and like fucking does a better job of portraying the emotions in these songs than
definitely the original writers or singers.
The original fucking singers, which is Glenn Campbell, Curtis Mayfield, Dusty Springfield,
Michael Jackson,
Dionne Warwick, like all Burt Bacharach, the Carpenters, Chris Christopherson, all these. He's just blowing them out of the water with the completeness of his vocal performance. Yeah. Oh my God. I think those are my two favorite songs.
I think there's no better summation of why you should listen to this than that. Clearly, I would recommend this wholeheartedly, and I know you would too, Brandon.
Yeah, dude.
I think
an album.
What an album. What a pick. Goddamn. It's tough for me of all the records we've done on this show to pick a favorite, but this is kind of up there for me. This is a really good one. Like, I can't emphasize enough to people, if you've never heard this, like, go listen to this.
Is this the best album that we've done so far?
I'm not going to say that. I can't. I don't know yet. Because I've heard it for like 4 days. I barely listened to it. Yeah. But with that, I think we could talk about this fucking all day, and we almost have. I think we will save a couple more tidbits that we've got for the bonus episode over on Patreon. Patreon.com/blackmarketdub. Over there, you can get bonus video episodes. You can get ad-free video episodes because we now are monetized on YouTube again. So you will be seeing ads, tasteful ads that I pick myself where they go, and they go.
You pick the ad?
No, I don't pick the ad. I pick where they go. They're very tastefully placed. It's all good. But yes, you get ad-free videos over there. You get bonus content like our videos. We've kind of kicked the tires on maybe writing a blog series to kind of help aid people in their extracurricular album homework. Lots of fun stuff. And we've been chatting with people. I've been chatting with people over on Patreon. It's been really fun. We even give away vinyl. We give out records to our fucking patrons.
Patrons get them for free.
Patrons will get vinyl for free.
For free, I guess it technically it's like in exchange for your Patreon money.
Yeah, it's like $5.
But we don't. If you're a patron, we just give it to you.
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
If you join our Patreon at the $5 tier, that pretty much covers shipping for a record. We'll send you a fucking record. Join our Patreon. Trust us. Yeah. It's pretty sick. And you're helping us grow this project, and also
whenever we release anything, you get it for free.
Yeah. Yep. Also, I guess it goes without saying, if we've got vinyl, we're not releasing podcasts on vinyl. We're releasing tunes, music, drum and bass,
reggae music.
Yeah, reggae music. Me and Brandon are a reggae band. We go by Black Market Dub. We do all kinds of fun stuff you can find on Bandcamp, blackmarketdub.bandcamp.com. Tons of fun remixes, tons of fun spooky stuff. Great.
Lots of Halloween-centric
Halloween
dub reggae.
Halloween and pop songs is kind of our shtick.
And
Christmas.
And a Christmas album.
A Christmas album that is not on Spotify, but hopefully by the time you hear this, it will be back on Spotify. I'm pulling my hair out dealing with Spotify right now over that. We'll talk about it on the bonus show. Brandon, do you have any words of haze to walk us out, to talk us out, I should say?
The words of haze, yes. Okay, remember everybody. It was said that man cannot live by bread alone, but I feel that man cannot live alone at all.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.
Goodbye.
Rant.